Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the High Fly Hane. I am your host, Joshua Rush, and I am joined here by a quote-unquote friend of mine. Let's see. How do you want to go by? Like, what name do we want to use for you?
What the hell do you mean, quote unquote? Explain yourself.
Nothing. I'm not explaining shit. I didn't mean anything by it. But no. Yeah.
Goddamn better.
How would you like to be introduced? Because I call you a bunch of names.
Because honestly, I have a bunch of names, so shit, whatever. Um, in my art page, I'm the story keeper, but some people also call me Maggie because my nickname is Magpie. So, whichever you're good with.
All right. I'll just call you Cher because that's what I've been calling you recently. Uh,
Screw you.
all right. So this is the first episode of my podcast where I actually have a guest here. And my friend Cher is a artist, one of the people who hates herself enough to adopt art as a profession.
Oh, I actually doubly hate myself because not only is art my profession, my major is literature.
Ooh. Oh man. Okay. That's rough. All right. So, first off, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
I'm a freelancer and part-time teacher of ESL students, which is English as a second language. Um, Other than that, I sometimes babysit.
Fantastic. And because you do part-time teaching, that means you triply hate yourself because teachers hate themselves. At least here in America, they do.
Actually, actually, being a teacher is the most fun I've ever had. Every time I get a test and I get to use my red pen to grade it, oh, it's a fantastic feeling.
Is it like a power trip?
Indeed, especially if it's the same if you have good students or bad students, because for the bad students, you just start putting all the X's, all of them, and it's beautiful. It's like a beautiful piece of art. But if you have a good student and they have a whole section right, you can just put a giant ass check mark on it. Like, I don't even need to individually check it. You are completely correct, dude.
Oh my god.
Go.
Oh my god. That yeah, my Japanese instructor, she really likes putting big old circles when there's an entire section that we got right. Uh I guess it kind of I guess like being able to grade papers will make you feel like you have the future of some poor child in your hands and you just have so much power.
Well, in my case, it's teenagers and adults,
Dude,
often people that are older than me.
even better.
Indeed. Also, I should probably tell you I'm already starting with the second part of my coffee.
Fantastic. So I gotta, I have to ask, although you don't have to disclose it if you don't want to. Where are you from?
From the middle of the world, or so we like to call ourselves, the beautiful mystical land of Mexico, or Mexico.
Fantastic. Now I have to ask this. What would you say is one of your favorite like stories from being a part-time teacher or from being a freelance artist?
Um, well, for the teacher, like I've said, grading is the best thing. It's also really nice when you see the grades of your students and they actually go up in time.
Mm,
That's actually really satisfying. For being a freelancer, there are actually different parts of it because I don't only do art, I also am an editor and a translator. So it's kind of fun, for example, when you translate from any language into another, especially if I translate into Spanish, because I have to take into account where the person is from, what branch of the language they're talking, what goes into the culture that surrounds them, because that affects the use of the words. Also, who is their public, their audience, their readers, if they're using a technical language or a more casual one.
Yeah, and I imagine, especially for a language like Spanish, which has so many different like dialects and versions of it, depending on where you're from. I imagine that makes it even a little more interesting.
I mean, it does, but it's also for English. Imagine if I have a text in Spanish. Imagine if I have a young adult novel, which are really popular nowadays, and I have to translate it into English. Sometimes it will differ if it's gonna be sold in, let's say, an American market compared to an Australian market. You have to be careful with certain words, with certain jokes, mainly jokes.
Like how
So
most Aussies, like every other word is the C word, and that wouldn't fly over here in in America.
I cannot confirm nor deny that. Um, but for example, something I like to do is that I like to go on public chats like Omegle, or if I have a friend from that country, I talk to them and I ask them, "Hey, either how does this joke sound, or how does this phrase sound?" And if it sounds good to them, then I keep it. If not, then I will change it because I have to make sure that the public understands it, and at the same time that the idea of the author remains the same, or at least similar enough.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So it's not just editing and translating; it's also a mixture of like I guess market research to a degree or cultural research.
Yeah, but it all comes down to how much money is being paid, because sometimes they just pay you to correct the grammar or just a sentence structure. Other times it's a full adaptation, which is basically what we've been talking about. Um, but yeah, the less you pay, the more simpler you get.
Huh. That that's actually pretty neat to be quite honest. It's one of like I kind of that kind of makes me wonder if like if I get better at learning Japanese or other languages like the opportunities I could get doing that with other languages. Now, I do have one question that I know the answer to, but
Oh no.
our viewers are probably curious about it. Why are you called the Magpie Boss?
Well, first off, your viewers didn't know I'm calling Magpieboss.
Well, you called
I
yourself
only said
Magpie.
that my nickname. Yeah, my name is, one of my nicknames is Magpie, and actually most of my social media right now is Magpieboss. So
Well,
they were gonna find out sooner or later.
also on one of the pictures, and I'm looking at it now. One of the pictures I have on OBS of your art literally says your Insta Magpie Boss. So,
Damn it.
but anyway, why are you called the Magpie Boss? If I may be so curious.
Once upon a time in the land of 2017, I think.
Oof.
Um, yeah, the year where everything went to hell in Mexico. I wasn't in Mexico. I was in Spain for a semester in an exchange, and I had a lot of adventures and misfortunes in Spain. Um, but one of the most memorable, and that definitely made a urban legend, well, not urban legend, rumor to come true, has to do with magpies. So magpies are actually not that common in Mexico. They are European mainly. But over there in Spain, I knew them as Kafkas, which is a really cute name, by the way. And they're really beautiful birds. Uh, but here's the thing: in Spain, I had an incident where I lost a lot of money. Well, I had to pay a lot of money, and I became broke really quickly in the first month, basically. I had to pay 80 euros for because I got locked out of my house. So I had no money for the books of the school, only for the train. I had no money for food except for a bag of rice and some tuna, and some lunch from the cafeteria, which was really, really cheap. But other than that, I was completely dirt poor until my parents were able to donate me something, but that wouldn't be in a while. Now, in Spain, in the cafeteria, the meals will always be served with a side of bread, which I hated. I'm sorry if anyone is from Spain, but that bread on the side was awful. It was really hard. It broke the tooth of a friend. I just didn't like it.
Did it
But
make you angry?
it made me hungry because I couldn't eat it, but I didn't like it. But I don't like throwing away food. I think that wasting food is one of the worst things you can ever make. So I saw a little magpie, a little Kafka, and I decided to feed it. And that was it. Some of his friends came over. I fed them too. Just gave them a few breadcrumbs. I had never fed birds before, so at first they were kind of scared, but then they went away. But that was it. The next day, I go get my lunch, turn to the bench, under the trees and everything pretty, and I see a few magpies that are not that scared of me. They still keep their distance, but they just look at me expectingly. And I was like, oh, cool, maybe they want more bread. And I just fed them. Then I remember this legend on Reddit. I think it was on Reddit or 4chan, whichever.
You.
But I just remember hearing about it. Where somebody said that they basically became the pimp of some crows, by feeding them bread and having them bring them stuff. There was even a creepy pasta about it and all that. So I thought, well, I don't think it's true, but if they eat the bread and I just keep the other part of the food, then no problem. I'll just keep feeding them. What harm could it do? And I kept on feeding them. Eventually, the magpies began to bring me stuff. At first, it was a few little buttons because they are shiny, or some shiny string that they will find. The string that has like golden things on it or silver things that make it shine under the sun. And they will bring them over. And the ones that brought me things, because it was not all of them, I will give them more pieces of bread, more breadcrumbs. And the others caught up on that. And began to bring me more stuff, more buttons mainly, or shiny stones, like little pebbles that were just really pretty. I have no idea where they found them. Maybe on the train station, I don't know. Eventually, one of them brought me a coin. It was like a 5 cents coin, 2 cents, something like that. It didn't really serve me for anything, but I was impressed, and I decided to make a point. That day, that week actually, I had managed to buy a few cookies, and I had my little stash of cookies in my backpack. So I took one of the cookies out, broke it in half, and gave the sweet breadcrumbs to this specific magpie, and gave the normal breadcrumbs to the others. And they caught up on that too. And they began to bring me more coins. And I began to reward them in sweetbread, cookies, the ones with chips and all that stuff, to the ones that brought me either the bigger coins or the shinier coins, because they understood by size or shine. So I had to give priority to one or the other. And I prefer the size, obviously. Um, so it came to a point that I began to gather between 5 and 8 euros per week just from feeding the magpies. Um, and with that, instead of buying food, I began to buy books. So yeah, when I told the story to a friend when I came back home, she told me I was a Magpie pimp, and I was like, "No, I'm just a boss," and that's how it came to me.
So basically, you were a crazy bird lady.
Yep.
That honestly, that sounds like something out of a motherfucking like movie or something. Um, Actually, I wonder if it was Home Alone 2 that that's making me think of.
Uh
But
huh.
yeah, honestly, watch like next time you go to Spain, those like you'll have more magpies, and then like if you need to defend yourself, you just throw like I don't know pieces of bread on your attackers, and then all of a sudden just they get swarmed by magpies.
Oh, that will be amazing. But I think that will work better with ravens. 'Cause those things are fierce.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. All right, so uh, now I do have to ask, what when did you start getting into art? And yeah, like that. By the way, just so people have a little bit of clarity, obviously the two pictures you see on the OBS broadcast, this these two pictures are from her catalog of art. So if you like what you see here, I would definitely recommend doing a commission because she makes some good shit.
Oh, thanks. That's actually the nicest thing you've said about me.
And it'll never happen again.
Yeah, for now.
But yeah, so when did you start getting into art?
That's actually another dealer story.
Really?
um,
And I don't
okay,
think you told
so
me this story.
hey, I'd have to keep some surprises from you.
No, no, no. That's good. That's a good thing. I like being surprised.
So my grandfather, uh, we were not blood related, but I always loved him as if he was my biological grandfather, and I learned a lot about him from him. One of the things was to make business, and I was in elementary school when I began to get into art. I was just doodling. It was just drawing. But I like imitating a lot. It's never a perfect imitation, and it shouldn't be. If I like a style, I will take things from it that I like and make them my own with my own touches. That's it. And that's what I used to do a lot in elementary school. I remember Sakura Card Captor, which was really popular, and I will look at the cards and just start to draw them exactly as they were, and then fix them on my own. Make the hair a little bit bigger, maybe the eyes brighter, just things like that. But they were still, child drawings. The thing is that I was losing interest in it because my teachers were always scolding me, saying that I needed to focus on my subjects or I will get nowhere in life. And while my mom was supportive, she started to scold me too. So I was leaving it behind until I think it was in second grade. A few kids began to come close to me, which was really weird because nobody wanted to talk to me. Um, and said, "Hey, can you draw this character for me?" And my immediate reaction was to say, "How much will you pay me?"
Oh my god.
And the reason I brought my grandfather in the beginning is because I will always hear him say that whenever somebody went to him for any kind of business, he always will say, "Well, how much is it worth for you?" And anything the person said, the thing they wanted was worth for them, he will make it a little bit more. So I applied this with these children, and they will say, "Oh, I will give you what 2 pesos." I don't know how much that is in dollars. It's less than $1, uh, because a dollar right now is 20 pesos, but back then. So they will be like 2 pesos, and I'm like, I'll do it for 5, and they will pay me because their parents gave them some allowance or anything to buy stuff in the cafeteria, and I will just really quickly make them a drawing, make it look pretty with really basic 101 shading, and I will be paid. It came to a point that it was almost automatically, they will almost always ask for the same character. So I just made the several drawings of the same character and have them ready for the person that wanted to buy it.
So basically, from the very beginning, when you were a child, you were a fucking you were a fucking boss. You were a fucking like making gains, making money.
A girl has to make money. I needed my Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
And all I was doing in second grade was just playing a lot of Star Wars games. All right, so I all right. Now, one last big question before we get to the plugs. I've been wondering like this for a while, but how did you get so good at English? I know that's kind of like a weird question to ask, but like it always kind of like intrigues me.
I've never told you?
No, you never told me.
I've known you for so long and I've never told you?
Not once. Like, and the thing about me is it took me forever to learn English, and me still don't does it right. So,
Uh, um, so there are a few ways I began to learn it, but just mainly it was since I was a baby. My mother doesn't know English. She only knows like a few words, mainly cuss words. And my father understands it, but he doesn't speak it. But they wanted me to be fluent in it because uh the United States has always been a big influence in Mexico, both positive and negative. Um, so my father knew it was going to be essential in my life. So what they did is that uh, even before going to kindergarten, they will make me listen to both English and Spanish music. Um, Everything I saw on TV was, I mean, at first was in Spanish, but later on they managed to make me watch some English channels, even if it was just news. Um, I remember they bought this Disney collection to learn English with Mickey, or it was just for American kids, like to learn the letters and numbers and stuff. But that's what they did. They treated me like an American kid and bought me American books for children, so that I will see both languages as natural. So even while Spanish is my mother tongue, English is literally my second mother. I cannot separate from it. Eventually, when I grew up and I needed to learn faster than what I was seeing in school, because otherwise I will, be slower on the progress. What they did is that they took movies that I really liked and they will buy them in English. They will ask anyone to buy them from the United States and bring them over, so they will have no subtitles. And since I liked the movie and I had seen it once in Spanish, I had to watch it again and understand the context, just through the scene alone. Like relate what I had heard in Spanish before to what they were saying in English and to what they were doing. A lot of it was just through forced logic, honestly. It was just getting to live with it on a daily basis, even though neither of my parents spoke it.
that's you know that's kind of weird because it kind of reminds me of ever heard it of a wrestler in the WWE right now by the name of Kevin Owens?
You probably mentioned it before. Are you
He,
a fanboy of his?
well, actually, I'm a fan of his stuff back in Ring of Honor, back when he was still called Kevin Steen. However, here's the thing. Here's why I'm bringing him up. He is from Quebec, Canada, which speaks predominantly French there. I mean, like people do
Hmm.
speak English sometimes, but like they usually prefer to speak French. And when he was growing up, apparently one of the things that helped him learn English, oddly enough, was old VHS tapes of various like WrestleMania and all that kind of stuff. So he learned English by watching wrestling, and for some reason that kind of reminded me of it. Um, but honestly, that's actually pretty cool that your parents did that because you speak English like really, really well.
Thanks.
Like
But actually, I've heard that there are people in other countries that learn different languages like that. They get TV episodes or movies from the country they want to learn the language of, and they just keep watching.
that that honestly kind of makes sense because like I as you know, I've been trying to learn a little bit of Japanese, and I'm not going to say that I speak Japanese, but I know a few words. And one of the things that helped, obviously, is studying it at my college. However, I've also been listening to a lot of Japanese music from like a wide variety of different genres. So like that's also been helping. But
Yeah.
like one group is that's a good example of this is Homemade Kazoku. They made, I think it was the second outro theme for the show Bleach.
Oh yeah, you showed me.
Yeah. And that's honestly like really really cool. Now, we've kind of gone over everything about your profession, all that kind of stuff. Now, I know that last one was supposed to be the last question, but I forgot to ask this at the beginning of the video because
Well,
I'm
I have a question for you later.
okay. I should have asked this at the beginning of the podcast. But what are your hobbies? Your big hobbies?
Um, I still like to read a lot, even if I don't have time right now. And even if after studying literature as a major, I was like, I'm not gonna read anymore, but I keep reading. Right now, I'm actually reading Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. I finally have the book, and it's beautiful and it's really sad. It's a really sad book. Um, when taking a break from drawing, I draw. So everything is a profession. I also do as a hobby.
that's that's
So sad.
that's kind of funny because like one of my big passions is history, as you know this. Uh,
Oh yeah.
and but the thing is, I changed my major because I knew that if I did history for a living, I would grow to hate it. And so like that's kind of cool that you're still like willing to take your hobbies and your passions and still like make them into work. I mean, I still like talking to people, which is my new major, communications, but like I don't I'm not as like I'm not as sentimental about it as I am history. I'm very sentimental about history, weirdly enough. But yeah, what was the question you wanted to ask me?
Well, first off, no matter what, I'm still gonna introduce you to everyone I know as my historian friend
That
because you know more about history than anyone else.
fair enough. I appreciate that.
Also, my question, I already know the answer, but I think it's your time to tell a story, especially one I know you are ashamed of, and it's one that I'm ashamed of as well. So,
Oh god, I see where this is going.
my dear, my sweetest friend, how did we meet?
Oh, okay.
Remember those wonderful, marvelous
Okay. Now, obviously, I can't go into full detail because there are some parts of it that we're so ashamed that we don't want anybody to know about. However,
uh, I'm pretty sure we regret all of it, but
we regret all of it, but there are some parts of it we probably regret more than others. So, um, now, all right. So anybody who has been on the internet in like 2007 probably has at least heard of the 3D chat client known as IMVU. And if you haven't heard of it or haven't used it, then pick a god and thank them for that because me and Cher here, we have low IQs because we decided that it was a good idea to sign up for IMView. And oof, okay. So we are complete nerds. We are nerdy pieces of shit. Don't even try to deny
yeah,
that.
I'm
And
I'm not even gonna try. Like shit.
we we are. very nerdy. And one of the things that we like to do is we like to role play. And yes, it's exactly what you're thinking, except without the furries. At least not on my end. Um, I
What is that supposed to mean?
I don't know. I don't I don't know. But anyway. Okay, so in the wretched age known as 2013, me and Cher here. Actually, I think it was at the end of 2014. We met on this wonderful quote unquote website, and we would role play with each other. The problem is we were both stupid, edgy teenagers.
Wait. I think it was before 2014
No,
because
no,
we were really young.
no. I said 2013 or at the tail end of 2012.
I'm trying to make remember. I think it was either 20 between 2011 and 2012 because my grandmother was still alive. So I'm trying to make memory. But the point is, we were really young.
Yeah, I was I was at
14.
I was at least 16. And
Um, yeah, you were 16. I must have been also around 16, 17.
yeah, so the thing is we were edgy teenagers, and I don't remember the full extent of our arguments, but we would argue a lot over the dumbest shit from both of us, like over nothing. And honestly, looking back at it now, it's pretty funny. But then the weird thing is, at some point in time, we both kind of just vanished from each other's lives. Like we would occasionally like run into each other in an RP room or something like that, and maybe say hey, hey, and then leave. And eventually, it was at the end of oddly enough 2018 where where we
Let's avoid names, current names.
yeah, we're going to avoid names, but there was an RP I don't know if it's still alive, but like I think you talk to people from it, but I don't. I don't know if it's still alive, but basically we met there, and oddly enough, we didn't know who each other who each other were. Like I didn't know that this was the same girl that I met so many years ago, and she didn't know that I was the same dumbass she met like so many years ago. And basically, we actually got along really well, like really stupidly well,
And
and
really quickly too.
really quickly, extremely quickly. And then we started talking. I think we were talking about like just our general experiences in IMVU and the different groups, different people, and all that kind of stuff that we met on IMVU. And well, okay, so we were talking, and I remembered something that the girl that I met so many years ago was. She didn't say she was from Mexico. She just said that she was from Latin America, and you're from Latin America, and I also kind of vaguely remembered your name, and oddly enough, the fact that you said you were from India on your card, and
Yeah, my character was from India.
yeah, your character was from India and all that kind of stuff, and I eventually asked, "Hey, do you know anybody by the name of?" I'm also not going to give the name of my last profile, even though it got stolen. But do you know anybody by the name of this? And there was like silence. There was just pure silence for like a good minute before
No, it was like 3 seconds of silence,
it
but it
felt
felt so long.
it felt like a fucking minute, and then all of a sudden I hear her say, "You bastard!"
Just okay. My internal process on the whole thing. As soon as you said a name, my brain immediately remembered. I never forgot, but it was just buried deep inside in the attic of my mind, in that door that says "Do not open." Um, but you said name. I remembered, and my first reaction, my first thought was to say no. I don't know the person. I have no idea who that is. You must have confused me with someone else. Good sir. Have a good day. Goodbye. Uh, but I also kind of knew
That I
that it
knew.
was gonna. I knew that you knew, and I knew that if I lied, you probably wouldn't call me out for it. But it was gonna be awkward, and the beautiful friendship we were building upon insults and poking fun at each other was probably not gonna be the same. So I decided to just have fun with it.
Yeah, the thing is, even though we probably haven't demonstrated it that much in this podcast, me and Cher here will troll the absolute shit out of each other, and she's probably going to come back to this podcast, and we're probably going to get a lot more fucking like insane about it.
To be
But
fair, I'm being very tame right now because I am slightly tipsy. I just drank a full cup of coffee with tequila.
that is the single that is oddly enough that is the whitest thing I've ever heard from somebody who's not white.
What can I say? I'm gonna marry an American. I have to start somewhere.
You have to blend in.
I mean, if my skin is not gonna let me, neither will my accent. Maybe my manners will fool them.
Well, anyway, now that we've gone over the full gambit of who Cher here is, it's time for you to plug your shit. Where can we find you?
Oh no. Um, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, DeviantArt, and probably in the future Pornhub. Uh,
Oh God.
because they actually are allowing artists in there like to make comics and put not safe for work stuff. Ever since Tumblr went down.
Is it me or is like Pornhub becoming the anti-hero of the internet? Like you can't like the Robin Hood or like the Batman.
I mean, kind of. Um, Twitter will also allow you to put not safe for work images on it, but I know there are more children on Twitter than Pornhub,
Oh God.
so I rather avoid that. Um, but yeah, you can find me on Twitter at un cuidador or Magpieboss. On Facebook is slash Magpieboss art. Instagram Magpieboss. DeviantArt is Blue Jay Bandit. On DeviantArt, I am going to be putting anything that is even the slightest not safe for work that I do for free. It's
Oh.
just experimenting and stuff because I'm practicing. If anyone later on wants to do any not safe for work commissions, then I can give them my PayPal or my coffee, and the full piece will be only sent to them and shown on my Patreon, which I am still fixing.
Yeah. All right. So, and I'll make sure to post links to all of her social media in the description below, as well as links to my own social media. You can find me at HighFlyHan on Twitter, as well as HighFlyHan on Instagrams. And yeah, I would highly recommend that you give her some of that big ass cash money to make some art for you.
Get some good old art, some cute, some funny, some porn art if you want.
Some
I'm
weird.
both happy and sad that I'm practicing furries. I'm not a furry myself. I know nothing about the community, but I'm practicing.
I find it funny. I still like find it really funny that you asked to give you any references for like furry art, and my mind immediately went to porn.
Of course, your mind will go there. Of course, you will.
Yes. Well. Anyway.
But also just everyone should follow your Instagram all the time because you post beautiful pictures in them.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I need to start like posting more pictures there because I haven't been playing Final Fantasy 14 as much. But anyway, now that we've got that all settled, I would like to thank you for being here, and I hope to see you again on this podcast very soon.
Thank you for having me. I can't promise I'll be as well behaved on the next one.
You know what, I'd be like disappointed if you were well behaved, especially since I'm going to be bringing one of my friends from Singapore in one of the next podcasts, as well as a friend of mine from the Philippines, who's actually working on some art that I commissioned her for.
But
I think you'd really like her shit.
but can I bully you in front of your friends?
I mean, like, not only do I expect you to bully me in front of my friends, I expect you to give them material to bully me as well. Because my poor friend Apple, I bully her so much, and she has nothing to use against me.
Hashes in your face?
Yes.
Then she has all the material she needs.
I mean, well, she probably just needs a little more help. And I know you're more than willing to help her with that.
Okay, I I I may sound really mean, but it's all with love.
I know. I know. I know. Anyway, have a wonderful day, guys. This has been the High Fly Han with my friend Cher, and I hope to see you again very soon. Have a good one.
Bye bye.